Norway is a small country in terms of population, with only about 5.2 million inhabitants. Nonetheless, it is large in territory, covering approximately 385,000 square kilometers, roughly 140 times larger than Hong Kong and 464 times larger than Singapore. Most of Norway's territory is composed of mountains, making the country less conducive to agriculture, with only 2.2% of its land considered suitable for this purpose. The economic history of Norway is marked by geographical factors such as its long and fragmented coastline, full of fjords, which facilitated maritime trade since ancient times. These fjords also made the inland forest more accessible, driving the country's timber industry until the advent of railways in Europe. Norway also benefited from the hydroelectric potential of its rivers, making it a significant producer of electricity since the 20th century. Despite its geographical disadvantages for agriculture, Norway was already relatively prosperous before the discovery of oil, thanks to its strong timber industry and the exploitation of hydroelectric resources. The discovery of oil in the 1960s only increased the country's wealth. Norway developed a diversified economy, with notable emphasis on the aluminum industry and the exploitation of marine resources. The decentralized distribution of wealth and property in Norway, along with a cooperative culture rooted in shipbuilding and other industries, contributed to a society with low inequality and a strong social safety net. Norway's hydroelectric power, with 34% of the company publicly owned by the Norwegian state, enabled the country to become by far the largest producer of aluminum in Europe and the eighth largest producer in the world today, also making the country the largest supplier of aluminum to the European Union. Additionally, Norway applied lessons learned from the hydroelectric industry to the emerging oil and gas industry in the following decades. In the mid-20th century, Norway began exploring its offshore oil and gas resources, initially with little expectation of success. However, a series of major natural gas discoveries, such as the Groningen field in the Netherlands, renewed interest in the region. The discovery of the Ekofisk field in 1969 marked the beginning of Norway's offshore oil exploration. With the establishment of the state-owned oil and gas company, Statoil, now Equinor, Norway set rules to ensure its control over the resources, including majority state ownership and all production licenses. This ensured that Norway became one of the world's leading oil and gas producers, with significant reserves. Furthermore, Norway developed a network of subsea pipelines to export its natural gas to European consumers, becoming one of the main gas suppliers to the European Union. These economic developments were driven by strategic vision and careful control of Norway's natural resources, demonstrating how the country turned its geographical advantages into economic prosperity. In 2021, Norway had already become the second largest exporter of natural gas to the European Union, trailing only behind the Russians. While Russia provided about 40% of the EU's total gas imports, Norway supplied about another 25%. Additionally, Russia supplied approximately 25% of the EU's oil imports, compared to Norway's share of 99.4% of oil imports. With billions of dollars flowing into the Norwegian economy, the country had effectively become a Petro State, the only one in Europe besides Russia. In 2021, oil and gas accounted for about 21% of Norway's GDP and 51% of the country's total exports by value. Despite becoming a Petro State, Norway does not fit into the usual stereotypes of corruption and authoritarianism associated with such states. This is largely due to its history, geography, and progressive policies. Norway already had a culture of communal ownership of natural resources, and its stable and decentralized democracy provided a favorable environment. While many countries discovered oil and gas under authoritarian regimes, Norway was already wealthy, politically independent, and democratic. Therefore, it was better prepared to handle the sudden wealth from oil and gas. To deal with fluctuating oil prices, Norway established the Government Pension Fund Global, known as the Oil Fund, in 1990. This fund, which invests in stocks and real estate globally, aims to diversify the economy and ensure the country's future financial security. With a net worth exceeding $1.2 trillion, it is the world's largest sovereign wealth fund. The fund is managed conservatively, with a withdrawal limit of 3% per year, ensuring that the country is not overly reliant on oil wealth. Furthermore, Norway has been leveraging its renewable energy potential, especially hydroelectric and wind power, to meet its energy demand. With an installed capacity of hydroelectric power that can meet 95% of the country's electricity demand and significant wind energy potentials, Norway is reducing its dependence on fossil fuels and strengthening its position as a leader in clean energy. Norway has adopted a unique strategy in the 21st century to manage its oil, gas, and renewable energy resources. They have chosen to sell most of their oil and gas resources abroad while using renewable sources to meet domestic energy needs. Additionally, they are strongly encouraging the adoption of electric vehicles through favorable fiscal policies. This approach not only reduces carbon emissions but also strengthens Norway's national and financial security, making the country less dependent on foreign energy imports. As a result, Norway has become one of the main energy suppliers to the European Union, largely replacing Russian imports of oil and gas. Furthermore, they have recently discovered vast reserves of phosphate, titanium, and vanadium, which could make them a vital source of essential materials for modern technology and the transition to green energy in Europe. This bold strategy has positioned Norway at the top of the world, giving it unprecedented influence and enviable economic prosperity that will echo for generations. Thank you for watching. If you enjoyed, don't forget to like this video and subscribe to the channel.